Hi guys. I'm gonna do a little bit of story time here. It's September. It's coming up to it's the darker half of the year, sort of officially. Well, not technically in terms of equinoxes and stuff, but it's coming up to that time. It's September. The chills in the air. We're starting to see the leaves dying. The leaves are already fucking dead anyway because of the summer we've had over here, which has just dried everything out. Global warming, yay! Um, but you know, we're starting to see that we're going towards the darker half of the year, basically, and it's something that kind of I feel every witch or every magical practitioner kind of feels that buzz, that energy in the air around this time of year. Autumn for me just gets me in a really kind of, for want of a better term, witchy mood. I always feel very magical around this time of the year. There's something about this time of the year that stirs something within me, as I'm sure it does a lot of other people. A lot of people call autumn the season of the witch, and that's something I would kind of agree with. But yeah, so in light of this lovely season upon us, one of the things I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to do a story. So it's going to be story time. And today is about a place called Cannock Woods. Now, a couple of years ago, myself and my partner and my best friend, we went to a festival called Mercy and Gathering, which was a pagan festival. And basically, I hated it, I'll be honest. I absolutely hated it. I didn't like the people that were there. Very militant, almost puritanical in terms of no drinking, no fun. It was just a bit much, and very, very militant and puritanical, and it's something I can't deal with. If you know, anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but we didn't really have a good time. There were some experiences I had there, good workshops and stuff like that, don't get me wrong, of course. But overall, I didn't particularly enjoy the feel of the festival because it felt almost very inclusive. And it wasn't something that was really my batch. However, so there is something called the Abbots Bromley Horn Dance, which takes place at Abbots Bromley. And so we wanted to see that. Now with this festival, the rules were very anal, and so you had to be out at like 12 o'clock on Sunday. It was a farmer's field, I think, so we had to be out by that time. Now, what we wanted to do was we wanted to actually go and watch the Abbots Bromley Horn Dance, but it was quite far away from where one of my friends lived at the time. He lived at Birmingham at the time, so it's a bit of far away from Abbots Bromley, but we ended up actually camping out, and what we done was guerrilla camping style, wild camping, and basically just saying, you know what, where's some woods on the sat-nav? There, done. And stupid sort of mistake really, but we thought we'll do that. We've got some tents, and I've wild camped a lot. I in my spare time, I enjoy going out camping and connecting with nature, and just kind of just being immersed in nature is beautiful for me. I love it. And one of the things that actually happened was we was fannying about so much. We went back to one of my mates' houses. He had to get some stuff in Birmingham, and then we drove back out to Abbots Bromley way, which is around sort of Staffordshire way. And so we was fannying around, and I was quite aware of the time, and I kept saying, guys, like, we're really gonna, we need to watch this. We have to be mindful of the time, because anyone that does wild camping knows you pitch up a tent in the dark in a place that you don't know. Very disorientating, not an enjoyable experience. You don't know where anything is. You feel a bit disorientated. It's not fun. It's not fun. And so what happened? We ended up pitching a tent in the dark because we was fannying around a bit. That's what happens when you get a group of people, and also standard pagan time, as I'm sure a lot of pagan viewers will be aware of this. And so when we actually pulled up the car, we was walking through this woods, and the woods was called Cannock Woods. Now, I started to walk through it, and I started to see images of tall, white, figures almost kind of overlurking, with long arms walking through the woods, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? The moment we walked in, the feeling was like, get out. It was like the spirits of the place were like, get out. And it was frightening. It was scary. And I didn't say anything about these tall, white, crazy figures that were walking around. And then one of my friends next to me said, you know, it's really weird. I keep seeing all these tall, white figures walking around. And I was like, right, okay. So it's not me being crazy. It's me being clairvoyant. I was like, right, this is okay. And we finally didn't get too far into the forest, but we pitched a tent, and it was in the middle of these massive three birch trees that were huge. And we felt so uncomfortable. We was going to sleep in two tents, one with two of my friends, and then the other one with me and my partner. And we ended up staying in the same tent because that was the sort of feeling. It was horrible. One of my friends at the time actually sat there and said during the evening, was like, I keep having images of this girl sitting next to me, this little girl with black eyes, and I was like, ugh. But the whole time I took comfort in knowing that we could go back to the car and drive off. You know, I kind of thought, well, we can always go back. If shit gets real, we can always go back. And so we walked. Basically, my friend had indigestion and needed tablets for indigestion, and said, can you come with me? And I said, of course. And we left the campsite, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked, and we ended up back at the campsite. And I was like, right, okay, so we've been fairy-led. This is weird. Great. You know, it was kind of like, okay, so the comfort of not leaving the woods is just gone. So that was just fabulous. And so we stayed there the whole night, and I didn't sleep. Me and my friend, we didn't sleep, and we had a fire going. And before we actually went to sleep, I was like, okay, fuck this shit. None of us drank anything. We had, bottles of drink, but none of us actually felt safe enough to drink. None of us felt safe to become intoxicated. And that was quite strange for all of us because, all of us together, piss artists, at the time. And that was weird that we didn't want to do that, but I didn't feel safe and no one else did. And I was like, I would rather be sober for this experience so I have control if anything happens or kicks off. And then what happened after that was I got a bottle of whiskey and I was like, right, fuck this shit. So I went out and I said, to the spirits of the land, we come here, we give you no disrespect, we come here with honor, we come here with respect. This is for you. We don't mean any harm to the land, we don't mean any harm to you. And the intensity of the actual place kind of dissipated away. It felt like, something could just come down, and that was quite nice. And the interesting thing was, what happened then is we had a fire outside the tent, and we had actually waited until the fire had died out. So we hadn't actually put the fire out, to be fair, but the fire, it was embers, In my experience, most of the time they don't come up and down quite dramatically as this did. And we was in the tent, and my other half and one of our friends had fallen asleep, and it was me and one of my friends, and we was in the tent absolutely shitting ourselves, to the point where if I needed a piss, I'd be like, you're coming with me, like now, because I couldn't go on my own, because I was terrified. And I love the woods. I've been out in the woods on my own at night and connected with nature, worked with the nature spirits, and amazing. But this time, no, didn't feel right at all. The fire kept going off and on, like dramatically. It would come up like, and then just dissipate, and then it was strange. It was very strange. But we actually heard someone walking around outside the tent, like physically. And the feeling that I had at the time was like someone was physically, like a person, like a murderer. That's the feeling. It was horrible. It wasn't nice. It was horrible. Someone was walking around outside our tent, pacing, and it was not a nice experience at all. Me and my friend were like freaking out massively, and we didn't sleep. I closed my eyes for what felt like 3 minutes, if that, and I woke up to the tent being zipped up, like, and I was like, whoa, someone's coming in the fucking tent. What the fuck is happening? Next thing I know, my partner flies in, literally going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And everyone's like, whoa, 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 like freaking out, freaking the fuck out. I was like, what is happening? And Josh had fallen asleep inside the tent. So I was by the entrance of the tent. There was my friend Ash. There was our friend Richard there. And then there was Josh, the other side of the tent. Josh had fallen asleep inside the tent. Josh had woken up outside the tent, laying on his back with his head. He doesn't sleep on his back, with his head on the floor, with the sleeping bag zipped up tight to the top. And he said he woke up. His first thoughts were, they fucking left me outside the tent. His second thought was, you fell asleep inside the tent. His third thought, he said, was, ugh. And he hopped back to the tent, and the tent was zipped up, shut. And we didn't sleep properly. The next day, we was like, fucking get the hell out of here. And we watched the Abbots Bromley Horn dance, which was amazing. But the next day, I was on Google, and I was like, I'm going to look at this Cannock Chase Woods. Nothing come up. And about a month afterwards, it was actually this time a couple of years ago as well, it happened, as Abbots Bromley Horn Dance is tomorrow. So yeah, it was literally this time, years ago, come to think of it. Fuck, that's weird. That a month later, one of my friends tagged me on Facebook and said, oh my God, George, look at this, you will not believe this. And the heading said, black-eyed children return to haunt Cannock Chase Woods. Then I Googled it again. There was murders in the woods. There was, it was like pig-headed men, like UFOs, witches, just werewolves, just fucking everything. Like the whole Addams family lived in that woods. You know, it was terrifying. But it was weird that my mate Richard had said, I keep getting images of this little girl with black eyes. And then that had happened, but it was a very strange experience, and I just wanted to share it with you guys, because it was very, very odd, and very strange, and it was one of the most spiritual experiences I had the whole weekend, actually, which is ironic because I went to like a spiritual festival, but it was very fucking terrifying. So yeah, I'm going to leave that story with you guys, over and out, and peace and happy autumn.